Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today is the day. Let's get started. So I try to do this about, I'm gonna say once a week. It doesn't always work out like that, but maybe once every 2 weeks, once every 3 weeks or so. I try to clean out my fridge. I don't touch my freezers, and any fruit or anything that might be on the counter that's going brown or so, I would usually, especially for bananas, what I would do is peel them and put them in the freezer to use as smoothies. That's what I would typically do. But for my kitchen clean out, my fridge clean out today, I found 2 bananas that I have to do something with. This is some hot sausage that we used on pizzas the other night. This was what was left. There's some refried beans that I did on, what did we have this on? I think it was like some kind of burrito or something like that. Here is some mashed potatoes that we had from a dinner the other night. I have some applesauce. There's about maybe a quarter of a jar left there. I have some peppers. They're sweet peppers. Well, banana peppers. They're not hot peppers. And we actually had those on our pizza the other night. This is 1 jar of jam that's left in there. I need to pull this forward. We'll use this. There was a couple of them in there, and I've done something else with that. I'll show it in another video. But yeah, I'll just have to pull this, because what's happening is everything gets pushed to the back when we put leftovers in the fridge, and things get stuck in the back. And yeah, so I'll put this back in the fridge and I'll do something. We'll just make sandwiches with this. This is going to go back into the fridge as well. This is from last night's dinner, the broth off of some chicken. So that's going to go back in the fridge. This is just a little bit of sauce left from our pizzas, and I'll use that for something. I'll put this back in the fridge because we just did that. And then our cowboy candy. This is the last jar. So this is really hot. It's gotten hotter as it's set. When did I do this? 9 of 2021. Yeah, and that's the last jar of it. I do need to make some more. But we did some, I think we did some salads, like a tossed salad with salmon on it last night, and I put these on there. So I'm going to put these back in the fridge. But what I want to do is either do something with these. I think I'm going to make something sweet. We'll see what we'll do. So I'm going to make something out with those. Either a banana bread maybe, or banana muffins. We'll see what we come up with it. But this is the result of cleaning out my fridge. Okay, so I did find some more bananas that I had put in the freezer. That's what I usually do, and I would make smoothies out of these. So I'm just gonna make a banana bread. I'm gonna make something sweet, so I guess it's gonna be a flour it up. So I'm gonna use these 2 ripe ones that been sitting on my counter, and then the frozen ones. And I think I might just throw in the rest of this applesauce. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. We are gonna do, I haven't decided if I want to do muffins or bread. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so for cleaning out this fridge, I just mixed together those refried beans and the mashed potatoes. And I'm going to make some breakfast bites out of them. Depending on how far this stretches, I'm going to put some eggs. Depending on how full they are, I'll decide how many eggs I need. And I'm going to use up some of these peppers and that sausage. Now this sausage is hot, so I'm just going to do 6 without the sausage and 6 with the sausage. Okay, so what I did was I put my potato and bean mixture and I kind of smoothed it out, make it sort of like a cup in the bottom. You don't really have to do that. I've just dolloped it in before and just put the eggs over it. Either way works. I put sausage in 6 of them. I put peppers in all of them because we all like peppers. And what I'm going to do is, they're pretty full, so I'll probably only need about 4 eggs. So I'm going to beat up 4 eggs and I'm going to pour the mixture over. And then I'm going to put them in the oven at 350 for about 20 minutes or so. Depending on your oven, will depend on how long you have to put them in for, and of course at what temp you put them in for. Okay, so here are my 4 eggs in the mixing bowl, or a measuring cup in this case, and I'm just going to mix them together. And I'm gonna add a splash of milk. So I added my splash of milk, and it's just like making scrambled eggs. That's basically what you're doing, making scrambled eggs. Just mixing it up. And I don't know if I said this earlier, I did grease the wells of the muffin dish with, I guess you can see a little bit right there. That is some tallow that I was using. I'm actually really low on butter right about now. I'm looking for a deal so I can stock up. After 2 years without a grocery store, butter is really, really low right now. And I do a lot of baking, so I'm saving the butter for baking. And I am going into my tallow and my lard right now, so that's what I'm using up. So it's good for like frying things and cooking, not so much baking. Like maybe if I was making a crust or something, I would do that. But for like baking sweets, I haven't really tried it in that. If you have, leave it in the comments. Tell me how it was. So here are my scrambled egg mix. And I did put seasoning in this. Not too much because everything here has seasonings. The sausage is hot. The potatoes were seasoned, and the beans were seasoned as well. Everything in here is seasoned, so I don't want too much seasoning in my actual eggs. So all I do is, I'm going to see if I can do this without it going. So all you need, see, a little bit over each one. So I'm going to do this off camera because I can see me spilling it, and that one's a little too, you don't want it that full because they will expand. So you want it a little bit less. I'm going to take a little bit of that out. Okay, so here they are, all filled, going into the oven. I will tell you how long it takes. See how it's not quite up to the top? That's how you want, because that egg mixture will expand and you don't want it overflowing. So this is one way to stretch those eggs when prices are so high. So that was 4 eggs, and I'm gonna actually get 12 egg bites out of this. So into the oven they go to bake on 350 for about 20 minutes. Okay, so for the actual floured up portion of this video, I am going to make banana bread. And you're like, well, what is this? Well, this is brown butter. I browned some butter. I'm letting it cool. I'll cool for about 15 minutes or so, depending. I'm going to let it cool before I use it. As if it's like to the touch cool, which actually it is kind of right now. It's a bit warm. Then I pretty much use it at that point. So once you've browned it, you want to start with this so it can cool while you're making the rest of your ingredients. Okay, so I got out the rest of my ingredients that I needed to make this banana bread. You saw the applesauce, the bananas, of course. I've got cinnamon, baking powder, baking soda, and I'm using water glass eggs. Yeah, that's what I'm going to use. I'm not going to worry about powder. I've been trying to use up my powder eggs, but I think I'm going to use water glass eggs in this. And then, of course, I greased with that same tallow my loaf pan, and I'm going to get started. I'm forgetting something. I know I am. In the back of my mind is nagging at me that I'm forgetting something. I'll look at the recipe. Oh, sugar. Yeah, we need sugar. So I'm going to use brown sugar in this recipe. So I'm going to get that out as well. Okay, so I peeled my 2 really ripe bananas, and they don't really look that ripe once I open them up, but they are ripe, as you can see by the skins. You can see that. You saw them. So I find mashing them with a fork is, for me, the way I like to go. Some people use a potato masher or like a hand mixer. I don't have a hand mixer, and I don't feel like pulling out my stand mixer, so I'm actually just going to use this fork. So we're just going to get these meshed up, and then I'm going to measure out the applesauce that I want to go in here with it. Okay, so I have my bananas all mashed up, and I'm just going to add in the applesauce. Just going to add in the rest of this. This is about 2 cups, or the equivalent of maybe 4 bananas. So maybe 3 to 4 bananas you would need for this recipe, depending on the size. Mine were kind of big, so this is about 3 of that same size banana. So into my applesauce, my banana, I'm going to add in my brown sugar, and I will put all the measurements in the description box below. So to that, I'm going to add my nicely cooled browned butter. Add that all in. That's going to be such great flavor. And I'm going to get this mixed I'm also gonna add in a splash of vanilla. Now, this is homemade vanilla. It's in this bottle because I was making it in bigger bottles, but I'm using this bottle that, you know, where this came from. So it's just fits in my cabinet better. So I'm gonna get this mixed up together and we're gonna move on to the next step. So the timer went off to tell me the egg bites were ready to come out of the oven, and here they are. I don't know what happened to this clip, but I'm going to let them cool in the muffin tin before I take them out, and I'm going to store them and we'll eat them in the next day or two. Okay, so here are all my wet ingredients mixed together, and here are my dry ingredients: my flour, baking soda, baking powder, cinnamon, and my salt. And I'm just gonna mix it in just so I can get it distributed throughout before I put it into my wet ingredients. Okay, so it's my wet ingredients, and in goes my dry ingredients. And I'm gonna use a spatula. You can use a spoon or whatever to stir this in, or you can use a hand mixer even. So I'm just gonna stir this in and then get it into my greased loaf pan, which I think it's a 9 by 13. I'll have to check. I'll check right now. Does it say on here? It is. Oh, it's a 13 by 23. I don't know if you can see that right there. Why did I think it was a 9 by 13? I'm thinking of that other one. Okay. So mix this all together. And yeah, that's my first spill for today. Did you see that? Okay, so here it is mixed. I just mixed it enough to get all the flour incorporated. And I'm going to put it into my loaf pan. So it is a thick mix if you're not used to that kind of mix. This is how mine turns out. It's I like a sort of denser banana bread. So you can put chocolate chips in this if you want. I've done that before. Today it's just a plain one. Well, plain as opposed to not having any walnuts. I don't like nuts. I've done raisins. I don't really care for them either. I've done chocolate chips, which we really liked. I'm gonna get this spread out. So here it is, ready to go in the oven. I like the look of the split in the top of it. So I just took my spatula and then just ran it down the middle. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do to it. I'm trying not to bang it down because I usually do, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna see how that Ashley from Martin Midlife Misadventure, she doesn't bang hers down. So we're gonna see if that helps. I've never really noticed any different, but because I've always banged my things down, the last two things I didn't, but we'll see how it goes. And I'm not gonna bang this one down. So hopefully it'll be a bit lighter, not as dense, even though we like, especially banana bread, zucchini bread, pumpkin bread, that sort of thing. We kind of like it on the dense side, but I'm just waiting for my oven to come to temp, and then we're gonna put it in there and get it baked off. So into the oven is going for about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on your oven. Mine's will be about 45 minutes. Okay, so this is one of the egg bites. This is what's left of it. It is delicious. I will say, this is still hot. I didn't let it cool all the way before I tried it. It's so good. I've never had it with the beans before, and they are still runny. I'm wondering if once they cool down, they will set, because I wanted to put these in the fridge and we'll eat them over the next day or so. Yeah, take stuff out of the fridge to put it back in the fridge, yeah. Had I timed this better, I could have done this for breakfast this morning, but I didn't. But it's so good. I've done this with mashed potatoes before, and the mashed potatoes will set really good. But I added the addition of the beans. They're kind of runny, but wow, the flavor. The flavor is definitely there with the beans. It is so good. Yeah, you should try this. Even if you just try it with like some leftover mashed potatoes, definitely a great way to stretch eggs for breakfast or lunch or dinner. Okay, so this is why it's so important to go over your recipe and look at everything before you put it into the pan. As you can see, I already put it in the pan. You saw me put it in the oven. What you didn't see was me grab it out of the oven, put it back into the bowl, and put in the eggs, which I forgot. So go over your recipe before you put things into the oven or into the pan, and make sure you have all the ingredients in, because that would have been probably disastrous. And I'm going to now put it back into the pan. I'm going to wipe it out, put it back into the pan, and put it into the oven again for the second time. Take 2 in the oven. Yep. And I tried to put it the slice in the middle, but it's not really staying like it was before. You can see it's there, but I doubt it's gonna work. It's filling back in. So as you can see, the slice in the middle did actually work, and as far as I can tell, it did turn out. It's not in rise as much as it did before, but we'll see how it tastes. And here is the banana bread. I'm going to let it cool before I cut into it. That was just some where I scraped it out and I didn't wipe it down, but that's what that is. But yeah, it smells delicious. It looks good. Hopefully it tastes good. I'm sure it will. But don't be like me and forgetting the eggs. So here's the banana bread. It is still quite hot, even though I've let it cool for probably about 20 minutes now. It's still quite hot, but I'm going to try it anyway. That's good. It's not overly sweet, so if you want to add more sugar, you can. But the addition of the brown butter and the brown sugar, it gives it a depth of flavor. Even without all bananas, that little bit of applesauce, the moisture, it is very moist. So if you can see that, it is moist. It's not dry. It's really good. I really think you should try this recipe. I'm going to include it in the description box below. And it's definitely a flowering up recipe that you might want to try. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and click that notification bell to be notified when I upload videos. God bless, and remember, stay safe and keep prepping.